Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to 10 Minutes Daily Cafe Chat. I'm Emily.
And I am Lisa. It is Wednesday, April 29th, 2026.
Lisa, you look a little out of breath today. Everything okay?
Honestly, I almost missed my stop this morning. Wait, what happened? I was dozing on the train. The second I heard the doors closing, my body just slipped out before my brain even caught up.
Wait, you slipped through the closing doors?
Yeah, I landed on the platform and only then realized I had actually made it.
That is a little dangerous, but also kind of impressive.
That is the wild part. My brain was still loading and my legs had already decided.
Body before brain. Honestly, hold on to that because it fits the whole show today.
Oh, now I'm intrigued.
If you're new here, welcome. Every weekday morning, we take real news from around the world and turn it into a friendly chat. Great for shadowing and listening.
And that subscribe button is right there if you want to join us every morning.
Today's keyword is lift. As a verb, to raise something. As a noun, a boost or a mood increase. Lift.
Okay, that one is gonna live in my head all day.
It really fits today. All three stories have a lift inside them in totally different ways.
Now I want the menu.
First, a man in Boston jumped into a freezing river to save his dog. The water was 40 degrees. 40 degrees? That's winter cold. Please tell me the dog made it. Both made it, but barely. Then, scientists may have found a switch in the brain that decides if pain stays or fades. A switch for pain? Okay, I have questions. And finally, a bright purple Filipino yam called ube is taking over coffee menus around the world. Ube at Starbucks? Now I want a snack already. Let's get into it. All right, story one, and this one had me holding my breath the whole way through. A man in Boston jumped into the freezing Charles River to rescue his dog.
Wait, jumped in April? How cold are we talking?
40 degrees Fahrenheit. That is just above freezing.
40? Oh my gosh, that is the kind of cold that punches the air out of your lungs.
Exactly. So here's what happened. The guy, Hans Nagrath, is a real estate agent.
Okay, just a regular guy, not somebody trained for this.
Right. His dog, Benny, is a 2-year-old golden doodle, and Benny spotted 2 geese near the water.
2 geese. I already know where this is going. My friend has a golden doodle, and that dog literally cannot resist anything that flaps.
Then you know exactly what came next. Benny dove in after the geese. So Hans jumped in after Benny.
Without thinking, pure instinct.
Right. He swam for maybe a few minutes, and then his arms basically stopped working. 40-degree water shuts your muscles down.
That is terrifying. You're between your dog and a coastline, and your body just quits.
At one point, Hans and Benny were about 10 feet apart. He couldn't close the gap. So he swam under Benny and pushed his back legs up to keep him floating.
Wait, he used himself as a flotation device for the dog?
Pretty much. He kept lifting Benny toward a pier until they reached it.
Lifting his dog out of icy water with no feeling in his arms? That's incredible.
And he said this afterwards, quote, "I actually thought I was going to drown."
Oh, that's heavy. He really thought that was the end.
He even said later he should have called 911 first or grabbed something that floats. But in the moment, his dog was the only thing on his mind.
Honestly, that's exactly what every dog person would do. He called him a son, right?
Yes, his exact words were, "He's definitely like a son to us."
Oof, that hits. And here's the small Boston detail I love.
Bystanders ran over with a Boston Marathon blanket and wrapped Benny up to warm him.
A marathon blanket, only in Boston. That is so on brand.
And the punchline? On the walk home, Benny saw the geese again and tried to chase them.
No way. After all that?
After all that. No fear, no lesson learned, just full golden doodle energy.
That dog is living his best life, and Hans is going to need a long nap.
Story 2, and this one is a real gear shift. From freezing water to deep inside the brain. I came across this research explainer recently, and it has been on my mind ever since.
Okay, I have your full attention.
Researchers at the University of Colorado Boulder think they have found a switch in the brain that decides whether pain fades or sticks around for years.
A switch? Like an actual on-off thing?
That is the metaphor they are using. The lab head Linda Watkins basically said if this decision maker in the brain is silenced, chronic pain does not happen.
Wait, this is huge. My aunt has had chronic shoulder pain for almost 10 years. Nothing helps. If a switch could turn that off, that would change her life.
That's the hope. So let me walk through how it works because the visual is wild.
Yes, please. Build the picture for me.
There's a tiny region in the brain called the Caudal Granular Insular Cortex. Long name, so they call it CGIC.
CGIC. Got it.
So how does this little region make pain stick around? Picture a relay. CGIC sends a signal to another part of the brain, which sends a signal down to the spinal cord, which keeps the pain message running.
Oh, so it's like a phone tree, but for pain, and the phone tree never hangs up.
Exactly. With chronic pain, the nervous system gets stuck in the on position even after the original injury heals.
So even when the wound is fine, the brain is still yelling.
Right. They tested this in rats with a nerve injury. When they blocked the CGIC pathway, two things happened. One, new chronic pain did not develop.
And two,
pain that was already chronic actually reversed.
Wait, reversed? They lifted pain that had already settled in?
That word fits perfectly. They lifted it.
That's incredible. So we're not just talking about prevention. We're talking about turning off pain that already moved in.
And this matters because chronic pain affects roughly 1 in 4 adults. About 1 in 10 say it disrupts their daily life.
1 in 4. So in any group of friends, somebody's dealing with this quietly.
Probably more than one. And the bigger picture is that this could become an alternative to opioids.
That's the part that gets me. A targeted off switch instead of a painkiller you have to keep taking.
It's still rats and labs, not humans yet, but it's a clear direction.
I'm sending this to my aunt today. Even just the idea of it is an emotional lift for her.
All right, last story, and I am ready to switch from neurons to snacks. Have you noticed everything in cafes lately turning bright purple?
Yes, I keep seeing purple lattes on Instagram, and I have been wondering what it is.
That purple is a Filipino yam called ube, pronounced ube. It has been a staple in Filipino kitchens forever, and now it's gone global. Ube. Got it. Where is it showing up? Starbucks added 2 new ube drinks to their spring menu, an ube matcha latte and an ube vanilla macchiato. Wait, ube and matcha together? That sounds like a color theory dream, right? And this is not just a one-store thing. According to a food trend research company, ube is now on the menu at about 95 U.S. chains, and mentions are up 230% over the past 4 years.
230%? That is not a trend, that is a takeover.
And on social media, it's everywhere. TikTok has around 120,000 ube posts. Instagram is over 750,000.
Of course, it's purple. It practically photographs itself.
Exactly the point. Honestly, it reminds me a little of the Boston story.
Wait, ube reminds you of the dog rescue?
Stay with me. Both moments work because of one detail.
Right, the one anchor.
In the rescue, it was the marathon blanket. In ube, it's the color. One small, unforgettable thing that the whole story wraps around.
Oh, I love that. The signature detail.
Coming back to ube, one trend expert called it the perfect viral flavor. Mild, slightly nutty, low barrier to trial.
Low barrier to trial. That is such a useful phrase. So it's easy to say yes to, even if you're picky.
Right. It's not a scary new flavor. It looks dramatic, but it tastes friendly.
Okay, but here's what I'm wondering. If demand is exploding, can the Philippines keep up?
That's the tense part. production has been slipping from about 14,000 metric tons in 2021 down to around 12,500 last year.
That's a real drop. Climate?
Climate plus issues with planting materials. So the Philippines is now actually importing some ube from Vietnam.
Hold on. The home of ube is importing ube?
To meet local demand. The world wants more, the country has less, and Vietnam is filling the gap.
A flavor lifting an entire culture onto the world stage, and supply can't catch up.
Beautiful and bittersweet at the same time.
Adding ube to my weekend mission list right now.
All right, that was a full Wednesday. Quick recap?
Yes, please. 3 lifts in one show.
First, in Boston, a man named Hans pulled his golden doodle out of 40-degree water with arms that barely worked. A literal lift.
And a Boston Marathon blanket finale. I will not forget that one.
Then, scientists may have found a switch in the brain that can lift chronic pain even after it has settled in. Tested in rats so far.
That one is going to be on my mind all day. A lift for 1 in 4 adults, potentially.
And finally, ube, the bright purple yam from the Philippines, lifting a whole food culture onto the world stage.
With 95 chains now serving it and Vietnam quietly filling the gap. So, today's keyword again?
Lift, a verb meaning to raise something up, or a noun meaning a boost or rise. And the related ones are lifted and uplift.
Lift, lifted, uplift. A small word that did real work today.
Now, here is our question for you. Of today's 3 stories, which one stayed with you the most?
3 to choose from. Hit me.
A, the Boston River Rescue, B, the brain pain switch, or C, ube going global.
Drop A, B, or C in the comments. Any language is totally fine, and even just an emoji works.
I'm leaning C, honestly. A whole culture lifted by one purple ingredient is hard to top.
I'm all in on A, a man and his dog. That's the kind of story I'll retell for weeks.
If today gave you even one new word or one new fact, please hit that like button.
Subscribe so you don't miss tomorrow. We do this every weekday morning.
Stay warm out there, and maybe keep an eye on your dog near any rivers.
And if you see a purple latte today, you know what to do.
See you tomorrow.
Bye!